Hello, dear students. Welcome to today's English class. Today we'll be reviewing Unit 2, Turning Points, Past Tenses. This time we'll be looking at the present perfect and the past perfect tense. Okay, so let's have a look at the overview for today's lesson. Present perfect and past perfect tense. Remember that in this unit, we look at simple past tense and the past continuous tense too. But that we take them, remember, last class. So today we're going to focus only on the present perfect tense and the past perfect tense. All right, so the present perfect tense describes an event in the past that it's important to the present or that is connected to the present, that has a connection to the present. That's what we call then the present perfect. Okay? For example, I have done the history project. So the project is done now. It's finished. Right? We don't have a time phrase that describes that the action is connected to the present. But what is important here in this sentence is that the project is done. Okay? So I have done the history project. Or the contraction form, which is I've done the history project. We also use the present perfect tense when we are interested in the time leading up to the present. When we want to know, we want to let people know about the time we are interested. Okay? And it's connected to the present. For example, I have been to the movies twice this week. When? This week. So this is a time phrase that we use for present perfect tense. This week means that the week hasn't finished yet. We're still during the week. So this week is an action that happened in the past, but it's connected to the present. Because he doesn't know if he's going to go to the movies one more time, or if he's not going to go. Another example, we have a contraction form. I've been to the movies twice this week. How do we form the present perfect tense? We use has or have. Remember, that depends on the subject pronoun. We use has for subject pronouns such as he, she, and it, and we use have for subject pronouns such as I, which is a subject, you, we, and they, plus the participle form of the verb. Let's have a look at an example. I have been to the movies twice this week. Here we have have. We're using have because here we have the subject pronoun I. I have been, which is the participle form of the verb to be. So I have prepared a little box here explaining the verbs forms. So here, for example, we have the to be verb, right? So what's the base form for the verb to be? To be. What's the present form? It have different forms because the verb to be is an irregular verb and it's also special, right? So am, is, and are. These are the forms in the present. How about the past form? Was and were. And the participle form, it's been. So this is what we need to use when we're talking about the present perfect tense. When we want to use the present perfect tense. This is the one we need to use, the participle form. How about the verb go? go, which is to go, the voice formed. Present formed, go. Past formed, went. And participle form, gone. Right? So it's very important for you to practice and memorize the participle forms of any verb. For regular verbs, it's very easy because what you need to do is just add an ed. It's the same as the past. It's the same as the past form, right? But for irregular verbs, they change their spelling. Alright, let's move on. How do we make negative? We make negative with has or have plus not plus participle form. For example, I have not seen him for a week. I have not seen, which is the participle here, right? We have, not, and the participle form of the verb see. Him for a week. Here is another phrase, another time phrase that we commonly use for present perfect tense, right? For a week. We'll usually use for. That can also be like a context clue for you to identify the tense, right? Contraction form. I haven't seen him for a week. We have another example. He has not called since last Monday. Here we have a different subject. We have he. That's why we're using has. Not called. Called, which is in the past participle, or past tense, which is the same. Since last Monday. Another time phrase that we use for present perfect tense is since. Since last Monday, since last Friday, since last week. Contraction form, sorry. He hasn't called since last Monday. Present perfect tense. To make questions with the present perfect tense, we put has, have in front of the subject. For example, here we have has, have, plus the subject, plus the past participle form of the verb. For example, has Sue told Richie? How long have you been a soccer player? We have the has, the auxiliary verb has, we can also call it like that. The subject, which is Sue, and then the verb in its past participle form. And here we have also have, which is the auxiliary verb for the present perfect tense. The subject, which is you, and been, sorry, here's a mistake, it's supposed to be and, which is the past participle form of the verb to be, right? Now it's time to look at the past perfect tense. The past perfect tense describes an event before another event in the past. For example, Richie had forgotten about the dance, so she didn't go. So here we have Richie had forgotten about the dance, so he didn't go. Right? So what was the first event? He didn't go to the dance because he had forgotten it. Right? So the past perfect describes an event before another event in the past. Another example, Sue was very happy on Monday because she had had a great weekend. Why was Sue very happy on Monday? Because she had had a great weekend. Right? So this event happens first. This action happens first. To form the present perfect tense, we use had as an auxiliary verb, past participle form of the verb. For example, I had forgotten about the party. Right? So here we have the subject, had, which is the auxiliary verb, and past participle of the verb. So in this case, we're using forgot. So forgotten would be the past participle. I had forgotten about the party. Or the contraction form, which is I'd forgotten about the party. So here I have a little table that explains the verb forms. So the base form for the verb forget, which is the same in the present form, forget. The past form, forgot, it changes because it's an irregular verb. And then the participle form, which is forgotten or forgotten, right? So remember, it's very important to learn and memorize the participle forms and the past forms of irregular verbs. Past perfect tense, more examples for you to have a better understanding of this tense. Well, it's very easy to understand because its names started, right? Past perfect tense. So those are actions that happens in the past. And one action happens first, another action in the past. For example, in 1995, she worked in a movie studio. Before 1995, she had worked in a factory, right? So before 1995, she had worked in a factory. Then she worked in a movie studio. Another example, in 1995, she wasn't nice to people. But why? Before 1995, she had been nice to everyone, right? So before she was nice to everyone, but she had been nice to everyone. She had been nice to everyone. That is the right tense. Because then after that, we have another action in the past. That's why in 1995, she was nice to people. She wasn't nice to people, right? How do we make positive sentences with the past perfect tense? We use had plus past participle form of the verb. So here is very important for you to know that for the present perfect tense we use has and have, and for the past perfect tense we use had, which is the past form of the verb have, right? For example, she had promised to keep it a secret, and the contraction form will be she'd promised to keep a secret. This is the way we make the contractions. We don't need to change the auxiliary verb had, okay, by looking at the different subjects. We use had for all the subject pronouns. For he, she, and it, you, we, and they, we use had for all of them, right? Remember that, because we're talking about past perfect tense. How do we make negative sentences with the past perfect tense? Very easy. We use had, not, plus the past participle form of the verb. For example, he had not seen Joe before. So here we have a subject, which is he had. Remember, we don't change had. We use had for all the subject pronouns. Had not seen Joe before. Before, it's another time word that it help you understand, that it help you identify that you're using past perfect tense, right? Contraction form, he hadn't seen Joe before. He hadn't. And that's it for today's review. I hope you like it. Please, if you have some doubts, if you have some questions, feel free to do it. Feel free to text me on Hangouts or call me too, okay?